Thank you. Hi, I'm Danny Brown-Wolf. I'm the head of marketing for ORBS. ORBS is the hybrid blockchain. It harnesses the power of two chains. And this is especially relevant for this crowd since you're the core Ethereum fans of Japan. Where are the users? So we have over 1,700 apps launched on Ethereum today. We have over 10,000 tokens launched on Ethereum. Yet the average per day users on Ethereum at dApps is about 5,000 people. 5,000 people for the top 5 apps on Ethereum. Number 10, for example, is EtherGoo, has 133 people per day, and CryptoKitties, which broke the Ethereum network, has about between 250 to 300 users per day. So clearly we have a problem here of mass adoption. In an industry survey of top American enterprises that are looking already to implement blockchain technologies and are looking into it, they were asked what is the biggest hurdle, what are the biggest challenges for them to implement this technology today? And most of them said that immature technologies, meaning infrastructure that would allow them to bring on millions of users that they already have onto blockchain, is what's keeping them away from coming on board. Hexa Group. So ORBS is a part of Hexa Group. This is our ecosystem, similar to what Consensus is to Ethereum. Hexa Group has the Hexa Foundation, which does social impact, the Hexa Finance that does investing, and Hexa Labs. Hexa Labs actually started the Hexa Group. Our founders, who came from Tal Cole, sold his company, exited to Wix. Oriel Peled exited to Alibaba and was actually the first Israeli company to exit to Alibaba, and it became the R&D center of Alibaba in Israel. They established Hexa Labs, which is a consultancy group for dApps, but it does a bit of a reverse process than what you're used to. It's not looking to incubate new ideas. Rather, we bring in big existing companies that want to do some sort of blockchain solution, whether it's a daughter company or actually part of their big company, and they want to implement blockchain today. And what happened in the process of helping these companies onboard their users, this is where the need for ORBS was created. So how do you decentralize an already killer app? The process is fairly straightforward, and I'm sure most of you already know it. So after doing the token economics and the general idea, the white paper, etc., we go to the fundraising stage, and then we go to proof of concept. For both of these initial stages, nothing is better than Ethereum. Nothing out there even compares. It has become the de facto standard for token issuance, and for good reason. Because it has the best ecosystem, which means best liquidity. It's integrated into most wallets and exchanges. It has the most decentralization and therefore the most security. And it also has a very good reputation and general fan group. But what happens to these large apps that are coming in and wanting to onboard their existing users, and we're talking in the millions and hundreds of thousands, is that they get stuck in the onboarding process. Why do they get stuck? We all know Kin by Kik. The story of Kin has been talked about a lot. They launched one of the biggest ICOs at the time. They launched on Ethereum, and when they started onboarding users, they got stuck. So they moved to Stellar. And on Stellar, the fee model didn't work for them, so they got stuck again, and now they have forked Stellar and are basically trying to find the right infrastructure for them to be able to bring on their users. CryptoKitties. Sorry. No worries. So what happened after the CryptoKitties released? It was the first dApp to launch on Ethereum, and it actually crystallizes the problems that dApps are facing today. And what were those problems? This is a graph showing the waiting time for transactions per second. The line people had to stand in order for their transactions to be approved on Ethereum. Okay? Kin had the unfortunate timing of launching a week before the CryptoKitties craze in December. So beyond the question of transactions per second, there's also a question. There's also a problem that is being faced by DApps today and is discussed heavily by the CEO of CryptoKitties, which is the fees. Now, I divide the fees into Ethereum into two different problems. The first is the actual cost, because when you're participating in an ICO, sending $5,000 over Ethereum, and you're paying $1 per gas, it doesn't seem like much of a transaction fee. However, when we have a 17-year-old girl on Kin who wants to spend her hard-earned Kin tokens on a sticker, and that sticker is the equivalent of $1, for her to pay 50 cents for a gas fee is ridiculous, and it doesn't suit the real world. Not only that, the DNA of Ethereum, until Casper improves it in the hopefully sometime near future, is that the user pays the transaction fee. Now, when you look at real world applications, that would be equivalent to Facebook asking you to send a few cents every time you send a message, because that's their cloud cost. And not only that, they would ask you to convert that money to Canadian dollars before you send it out, because their cloud servers are in Canada. That's what's happening on Ethereum today. And that's what ORBS is coming to solve. So what are the options for DApp? They can do a do-it-yourself blockchain like Kin is doing today. And instead of working on doing a killer app, they're focused on doing blockchain infrastructure. They can absorb the gas cost themselves, which we've heard some companies are doing. They can migrate to a new protocol infrastructure like EOS, but then it's new and it doesn't have all the benefits that we've discussed that Ethereum does. Or they can wait for Ethereum to scale. Or they can use ORBS. ORBS is a hybrid blockchain. It serves as a second layer to Ethereum. It has built-in connectivity to Ethereum that allows it to run in parallel, while allowing the DApps to maintain their ERC20 token and just run it on ORBS for microtransactions. So we look at it as a liquidity layer and a production layer working together to make the applications allow for millions of transactions and millions of users to onboard blockchain today. What do we bring to the table? We bring a production layer that is going to have 100,000 TPS in version 1, cross-trained contracts, no fees for end users. Our model allows companies to have real-world business models that allow them to have a monthly subscription, just like they're used to from AWS cloud services, that is determined by the bandwidth that they need. How does it work? I'm going to run through this quickly. ERC20, the tokens are anchored on Ethereum. Atomic swaps allow for avatar tokens to run on ORBS, and then they go back when you need to settle. How do we achieve speed and security? We have two innovations that I would like to discuss quickly today. Virtual chains, which are intelligent sharding, and randomized proof of stake. Randomized proof of stake. So we have Ethereum, the most secure but slow, because it has between 15,000 to 20,000 nodes who are constantly working together. And then you have newer blockchain solutions like EOS saying, we want to solve the speed problem by having 21 nodes, which is less decentralized and therefore less secure. Our randomized proof of stake has a different approach. We want to keep secure and decentralized while having the same speed as EOS. And how do we do it? We have 1,000 nodes. We're going to have 1,000 nodes running. Out of them, 21 are going to be randomly selected to close the block every time. This means that we have the speed of 21 while having the security of 1,000. If I can just quickly run through sharding. I'm guessing most of this is an advanced class, so I can talk about sharding a little bit. I like to use the analogy of a road. Sharding that is going to be on Ethereum is like having the Ethereum road or the traffic diverted into different lanes. So both the nodes and the users are randomly divided into lanes to allow traffic to flow better. The problem with this is that if we randomly assign the users into lanes, then users still transact between the lanes, therefore reducing the overall efficiency of sharding. What ORBS has is intelligent sharding. It divides the lanes according to the probability of users to interact by dividing them according to a specific app. So each app has its own virtual chain or a few virtual chains. And beyond speed, it allows for additional security and also certain governance models and features that they can determine themselves. Design partners. These are our design partners. You can read about them on our website. Competitive analysis. You will be able to read it on Medium in a post next week. Be happy to speak about it after. And that's it. This is ORBS. Harnessing.
Nothing happened.
Boom. I didn't have a mic, so I had to drop that. Harnessing the power of two chains. Thanks.
But thank you very much.